Welcome back, everybody. Today, I wanted to talk about battle drills and why they're important, especially coming up into the new seasons. Of course, to be clear, they give you a lot of rewards and things, but I also want to give a few tips regarding approaching it and what you should be doing alongside your guild to be successful, at least at a pretty basic level. So first and foremost, although I do want to go into this screen and talk about what I guess myself am going to be using for tactics, I also want to bring up a few things that I've noticed from around the community and, of course, the REVO guild. Thank you, everyone over there. So first and foremost, this is a team that I've seen kind of popping up that I think is quite useful. This involves empowering your magic units, and currently for the battle drills, magic teams are very, very strong. Now, if we move along from this, kind of the different routes and approaches that you could take alongside the battle drills are laid out here. Something that's really important to note that you may or may not know is that between the waves, if you're actually able to do 3-man or use a 3-man team and clear in or clear with at least 60 seconds remaining, it only uses 18 stamina, and it actually refunds you the stamina that you end up using. And now, to be clear as well, that you probably see right here, for the bosses, you don't want to be using AoE DPS, and to be clear, for the small little mobs or for certain fights where you are fighting multiple enemies, and I'll show you those in a second, you do want to be using AoE DPS or characters that can clear out a lot of AoE DPS, just so that you can get it cleared in less than 60 seconds. Now, to be clear, for some of these fights, this does include fights like the Quicksand Gunners, and things like, well, sorry, this is the Quicksand Gunner, and the Bounty Swordsman, where there are multiple enemies, and clearing them out quickly will result in the stamina refund. But on the topic of stamina and why I think it's so important is because actually there was a little video that was posted by Kuratha. In any case, he goes over a description, and thank you to Kuratha, about how, or a little bit of a tip and trick about how if you actually end up running out of stamina for a character, and in this case he illustrates it by talking about a Smoky, what you can do is actually take out the Smoky. So here what he does is he takes out the Smoky. In a second, he takes out the Smoky. Okay, there we go. So he takes out the Smoky and he replaces it with another character. And as you can see, when the new character comes in, she has 0 stamina here, right? But actually, if you do want to kind of get more energy or more bang for your buck, what you could do here is recruit the same character that you just took out and put the Smoky back in, and now you've got extra energy. Now, this is somewhat of a niche case. This only really works as soon as you unlock the new slots, but it was something that was worth looking into if you are prioritizing early clears or if you're trying to get more stamina, which I thought was really cool. But something that I also want to mention and talk about was the buffs that you should be taking from some of the towers, or buffs that I've found to be pretty useful. In this case, Divine Punishment, which reads that allies' normal attacks deal additional physical damage equal to 5% of the target's max HP, but you can't exceed 80% of your own, is a pretty solid one if you end up clearing out this outpost and taking a buff. And the second one is Rising Valor, which says that it increases attack speed by 4 for each normal attack dealt up to 200. Now, to be clear, in terms of the actual teams that you and most people will likely be taking, myself included, you will likely be taking, and thank you to AFKAnalytica, I've been getting a lot of help from you guys, thank you so much for the support from the community, involves some of these teams. Now, to be clear, you have the more run it down, kind of burst out the team composition involving Odie, Brutus, and Antandra, where you use the Star Shard, you do a bunch of AoEs, and you utilize not only the tankiness from Brutus, but also things like the Star Shard and the tankiness from Antandra and the healing in general from this team to make things work. You can also use this composition on the right-hand side, which involves Iron and Arden, where you do a bunch of damage, you do about a bunch of crowd controlling, and you want to use the confining spell specifically because you want to CC. You already have Iron to obviously clump everyone together. Why not accentuate it by giving yourself a damage dealer in the form of Arden and a CC'er in the form of Carolina, while also having things like the Thorn, Tank, and Not Die Ever. So between all these things, there are plenty of different ways to kind of play out the battle drill, but I just wanted to kind of talk about the importance, or I guess just things that I'd seen and why it's really important to kind of min-max and use your strategies wisely. Now, again, I'm confirming my teams right now, and I haven't quite done it myself for my guild because I haven't made or coordinated it quite well enough with my guild right now. But as you can see here, if there's a bunch of enemies, what you actually would like to do here is not utilize too many units all at the same time. If you can, it would be ideal to kind of limit these to 3 characters each. In this case, I'm likely going to be trying out a composition. I'm probably going to be using a Mauler composition here, is what I'm thinking right now. Something like Smoky, Odie, Entendre sounds like it would work. Again, I may not use the most of my energy, and in some cases, if you're not high enough level, things can get dicey. But in an ideal world, you want to be using as few units as possible. Actually, for this case and for this specific first fight, and just based off of what I'm seeing right now, I will only actually have access to 3, I believe, 3 characters right now. I'm kind of confused. I thought I recruited another DPS. I might have to go back and adjust this here in a second. But the idea is supposed to be that you want to have enough supports and healers so that you don't die. But if you are fighting the waves, what you definitely want... Yeah, I just realized I recruited one too many supports. If you don't want to use too much stamina, what you want to do is use 3 specific characters and then clear out as fast as possible. Specifically for me, I'm actually going to take this out for Floribel so that I have another DPS. And that makes a little bit more sense. Wait a sec. Yes, okay. So there's a bunch of guards here. That's cool. I'm going to be using my 3 team here. Okay, and now it looks like I'll have more DPS. I do have the Floribel, and I do also have Alsa. In this case, I'm actually going to take an additional support here just to be safe. I don't think I actually need this character to be clear, but you have 3-3-4, so you are going to want to use some of your stamina. Again, it also says that my formation will be incomplete, but in order to maximize or min-max your damage and your clear speeds, you're going to want to clear, or you're going to want to use fewer units rather than more, which just makes sense, because the more units that you have access to, just in case if one of your runs end up going poorly later, you can, of course, utilize them to clear faster. And I just realized I did not... Ooh, Rainer. Okay, keep in mind, if you're going to use Rainer, that was a little bit spooky. I actually didn't get the full refund of my energy, specifically because Rainer put one of them into the black hole. So, something that's worth noting and something interesting to take into account if you are going to be using this composition. Maybe for right now, or in case if I don't end up using or having a good enough composition, I might change out the Rainer just because I literally would have cleared that if I didn't have Rainer here. But in any case, he's already being used. I'm going to use out his energy. And the point of this right now is, of course, to get the clears so that you can get to the towers to beat the boss. And again, the performance of your teams will definitely depend on your investment of the characters that you have right now. For me personally, as you can see, I'm definitely going to be investing in the Mauler composition. Ooh, I was like a 5 seconds off from getting the full refund, which is unfortunate. But again, if you have compositions that you want to use yourself, or if you already have characters like Vala and stuff, and you don't have either the magic teams or the Iron or the Ardens of the world, that's totally fine. But generally speaking, at least for right now, I would definitely recommend using Odie as one of your carry compositions for one of your trios. And then maybe using something like Vala, Temesia, Vala, Thorn, whatever you want to use. Vala, and I mean, even Vala and honestly, like Entendre would maybe make sense if you don't have access to other DPS, or if you don't have access to other tanks. But this is supposed to be the easier section. Again, as you read from the post in the report, once you start getting to things like the frontier bases, or to the actual bosses, you are definitely going to want to take things out. But a bit of a disclaimer for this, you absolutely do not want to be using 3-mans for these. You're definitely going to want to be using multi-man, like full kitted out teams that involve single target DPS, which of course, based on whether or not you're going to use Odie or not, will be easy. But try to keep right now your DPSs to be magic and single target if it's for bosses, and magic and AoE if you're going to be doing the waves, as you just saw there. Anyways, though, guys, that's gonna kind of be it. Again, depending on who you have, you could definitely use characters like Arden. You could definitely use characters like Carolina, but that's kind of going to depend on your imprints, and as you can see from my units, that's not really the case. I don't really have the Arden or the Carolina quite to the level that I wish they were, but in any case, that's going to be it for this video. Thank you again for watching. This was just kind of a brief overview of the battle drills and what I found to work best, so keep that in mind when you are trying to build out the battle drills and perform. As always, always make sure to communicate what you're going to be doing with your guild as well, because that's really important for, of course, not wasting energy and kind of directing your team towards getting as much bang for your buck when it comes to clearing, getting buffs, etc., etc. As a final note, make sure to pick up your buff, because I know that a lot of people in my guild specifically forget to do that as well. But in any case, thanks again for watching. Make sure to like, comment, turn on the notification bell, and subscribe. Thank you again for watching. As always, thanks for supporting all my content. I'll see you on the next one. Stay safe, stay healthy. Check out the rest of my socials. Good night.